Joining us now, Democratic Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island. He is a member of the Senate Appropriations Committee.
I will note Senator Ernst was caught on camera by our NBC News colleagues going into an elevator, and she said that she's very compassionate, and you need to listen to the entire conversation while rushing to avoid reporters. She said we want to protect the most vulnerable. Then the elevator doors closed. That was on Capitol Hill just a while ago. Senator, do you think that, well, one, your thoughts about Senator Joni Ernst's comments both this weekend and today, and then your thoughts about the timeline of this bill?
Well, first, the health care improvements that we've seen over more than a generation, but particularly Medicare and Medicaid, have prolonged life, have given people opportunities, particularly when we give health care to children, which they're trying to take away. We're able to get them to the point where they can use all their skills, all their talents for this country. So the notion of death is inevitable, that's a nice philosophical comment, but it doesn't have anything to do with this health care debate. This is about making sure our country is healthy and productive, because unhealthy people can't participate fully in the economy, and that's what we should be about. And also, that's what a lot of young men and women in the uniform sacrifice for, not 5 Mercedes for the richest people in the world, but young kids can get health care and food and everything else.
I think that sacrifice is obviously a big part of what was missing with Senator Ernst in her sarcasm, was not appreciating that in that room were her constituents, her very own constituents. These weren't somebody else. Sure. These weren't people from other parts of the country. These were people who elected her, who expressed openly their concern. And so that flippant sort of, your problems are not my problem attitude is something that I think is a big opening this summer for Democrats. As folks lie on the beaches and the full effect of what Trump is doing begins to roll across not just their television screens, but their bank accounts and their notices from their doctors, et cetera. Chuck Schumer touched on something I thought in a letter to Democrats this weekend, reminding them of what this fight is. I would like to get your response to it. He said, the fight will not just be in the Capitol. Public sentiment is everything. To my core, I know that if American people truly knew how deeply devastating, damaging, and deceitful this Republican plan is, they will reject it. So we must continue to rally the American people in the shared fight to stop this radical agenda. So it's not just about what you're going to do in the chamber. It's what you need to do before you do what you do with your vote in the chamber. How do you see that playing out this summer?
I think you're absolutely right, Michael. And I think it was reflected in the audience in Iowa, which were these people reacted very strongly but very honestly, because they understand that these cuts will not only take millions off of Medicaid, it'll raise the insurance premiums for every American, their premiums, and they're having a tough time paying them now. If they have a mother that they want to put in a nursing home, many nursing homes will close because Medicaid is really what keeps them open, and they understand that. They're beginning to see the attack on their families, literally. And that's why I'm seeing in Rhode Island, but across the country, people coming together and say, what can we do to stop this? We have to stop this. And again, I think Chuck is right on target. We have to connect with, rally people everywhere, and just have them stand up and say, this is bad for our country, bad for our families, bad for everyone.
Senator, you talked about Medicaid and about Medicare. I think a third contour of that is some of the tax credit expirations we could see that came under the Affordable Care Act. Republicans, of course, have a very complicated relationship with the ACA. They fought it very hard. They see how popular it has been with the American people. And so this becomes a sticky issue for them. You have outside groups. They are running ads about this because there are a lot of folks who just find themselves in the middle. They make too much money to be on Medicaid, but they simply do not have enough money to access all of the health care that they need, with incomes being what they are. I wonder for Republicans, if you get a sense when you talk to your colleagues, one, that they understand that time is of the essence here, right? That these premiums for next year get set this year, that they can't be changed by legislative agenda come the fall. And so they run the risk that they could be in the middle of an election cycle where healthcare premiums are spiking. It is their fault. I mean, I know they see it as not wanting to give Democrats a win. That seems a little bit like cutting off your nose to spite your face.
Well, Alicia, I think you're exactly right. Many of them recognize this is explosive, that there'll be cascading effect. Hospitals will close. Insurance premiums for even private insurance will go up. The nursing homes close. All of that is going to be happening. And frankly, most medical systems in every state are very fragile. We're seeing doctors leave because they're either retiring or they want to go someplace else. And particularly in rural states and in other states. But this is going to accelerate loss of coverage. You know, I have this sort of image that where are you going to go when, well, you're going to go to the emergency room.
Of course.
And you're going to be in the street for 2 hours waiting to get in the room. And that's going to be a situation which is intolerable.
And not just a situation for you, who maybe doesn't have health care, a situation for everyone who has health care, too. I mean, this idea that our fates are not interconnected on the question of health care access.
It's hard enough to get an appointment nowadays as is, if you think about, like, folks who are trying to get into their doctor right now. If there's something wrong with you and you want to go see your primary care physician, it's not, the system is already being stress tested.
Can I just, because you both make a very important point, and I had a quick follow-up to what you said, something you said that touches on both of their points. Have Republicans in the Senate expressed to you their confidence that what you described and what Alicia and Simone have just described will not happen? That health facilities will not close, that premiums will not go up? Because you've got to have a certain level of, how should we say,
chutzpah.
Confidence. Confidence to say that. Knowing, I mean, particularly when the CBO's already come out and said, hey, from the outside, y'all gonna blow stuff up.
Even though Speaker Johnson says those numbers don't count right now.
Right. So, but, you know, we have some of my colleagues, Josh Hawley has been very, very clear that this is going to ruin not just Medicaid system, but the whole healthcare system. This is impossible. But I must confess, my impression is a lot of them in denial. It's saying, you know, maybe we can talk our way through this. Maybe it won't, the worst case. It'll be better than that. But more and more, I think they're beginning to understand the cataclysmic effects. And, you know, the CBO scores can be dismissed, but they're accurate, independent, thoughtful analysis. And every respectable analyst who's looked at it says, no, this is just almost simple arithmetic. You take away the money. The system needs other money. Where does it come from? Not the states. It comes from the individual payers. And a lot of middle-class, working-class Americans in every state are going to figure out, I can't afford coverage any longer. I'm going to have to get off. Maybe I'll just keep it for my children, but I won't have it. And frankly, that's going to be a disaster.
You know, you mentioned Senator Hawley, and there is a diverse range, as reporting from Politico today, of Republican senators who are aligned in saying there are many things about this bill we don't like, from Josh Hawley to Susan Collins out of Maine. And they don't like it for various reasons, but they have found alignment about what the version of the bill does to national safety net programs like what we just talked about, Medicaid. And they have the leverage to force the changes. Given that, do you agree with this timeline that Alicia laid out in the open, that they can get this bill passed before or by the 4th of July? And if not, what does that mean for the debt limit? Because that's included in this bill as well. And the debt limit, I mean, it has to be raised. It's money we already spent.
I don't think they can. I think they will try very assiduously to get it done. And they may, in fact, say we have to stay through the July recess to get it done. But it's so complicated. There's so many moving pieces. And let's not forget, what's driving this is not health care reform. How do we fund the tax cut? We must have the tax cut. And, okay, we'll take this out of Medicaid. Well, where else do you take it from? Title I for education? No, I don't like that either. There aren't any good choices. So I think they will make changes on the margin, but I don't think they can suddenly say, well, we're not doing this tax cut. We're going to reduce it dramatically. In fact, the wise thing that would be to reorient it to working Americans and invest in health care so we'd all be better off as a nation, not give it to the wealthiest. But that, I think, is you're going to come to the point, which we saw in the House, where Trump is going to have to go in and, frankly, use intimidation to force some Republican senators to get with the program.
Senator, real quick before we go, there was some reporting last week that your colleagues in the House who handle appropriations feel that they have not received an appropriate amount of transparency from this administration. They don't know how money is being spent. Is that your sense as well in the Senate?
Absolutely. There's no transparency. I mean, we're still waiting for a formal budget. Every couple of weeks we get a skinny budget of what we're going to do, but we haven't yet got a detailed budget from OMB that we can look at, begin to deliberate on the Appropriations Committee and say, okay, but we have to increase this, decrease that, et cetera. We're just still waiting for the real details of what budget they have. And I think, frankly, what they have in the back of their mind is, well, we'll just delay this so long that we'll get another CR for a year. And that would be a disaster, because that would basically say to Congress, excuse me, you don't have the power of the purse. You just sit there and do what we tell you. That would be terrible.
I mean, we got to go, but have Russell Vogt, the OMB director, has he at least come to brief you all?
No, not to me. I have to be.
That's work. What are you talking about?
I'm the subcommittee chairman that has responsibility. The ranking member. I'm sorry. I used to be chairman. I'm a ranking member for the committee that has the subcommittee that has jurisdiction of OMB. No, it's not happening. And the briefings we're getting from the cabinet secretaries and the directors are just, superficial at best. They're not, you ask questions. I've been particularly focused on where is all this Doge data going to? Who has it?
Senator, I've been screaming about the data since last week.
I got to tell you, there's three things you can do with that data. You can weaponize it, you can sell it, or both.
Well.
And they working out of C. They're doing both.
Yeah.
Well,
Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island is going to come back and talk with us about Doge and the data, because it's a hot topic at this table. Thank you, sir. After the break, we continue this conversation with Rohit Chopra, the former director of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And later, Congressman Jamie Raskin joins our conversation as he demands answers about the president's latest pardons. You're watching The Weeknight.